And we're going to make a start now. But before we do, I'm just going to run through a little bit of housekeeping so that we can make sure we get as much out of the session as possible. So firstly, can you all just type yes or no in the chat box to let us know if the sound's working okay? So you'll probably find the chat box. Yes, yes, yes. Fantastic. Good. That's always a good start. And just to let you know that today's session is being recorded, as I know quite a few people are unable to join us live. So you can just kind of request or send one of us a message afterwards. And what we'll do is we'll email that recording out to you. And so that you can get the most out of the session today, we'd also kind of, I'd almost like politely suggest that kind of switch off all of our phones or at least kind of notifications, because we don't really want you to miss out on any of the things that we're going to cover. And just kind of other little thing, cameras on or off is totally up to you. Same with mics. Actually, we ask if you can keep the mics off because there's quite a few of you there. So if there's too many of us, then we'll end up talking over each other. But please feel free to comment in the chat. So finally, before I hand you over to Darren, who's going to lead today's training, this training will obviously work best if we can get your input too. So please do respond to kind of the questions that Darren's going to ask in the chat. Yeah, so we'll be monitoring the chat all the time. So if you have any questions in general between, we'll keep an eye on that. And if anything comes up, then we'll be sure that Darren will answer these. And we've also allowed some specific time at the end for general Q&A. So if you have any questions at all on today's subject matter or anything health and wellbeing related, you'll get an opportunity to ask those as well. Okay, so I'm going to hand over to Darren now, who's going to lead today's session.
Right, thank you, Ollie, and good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us. It's always worth doing these checks before we start. Can we just double check everyone's got their mics off, actually? So I can just hear something in the background. In fact, just yesterday, I was on a webinar hosted by a really large company in America, and actually had to abandon it after just 20 minutes with technical issues. So I'm feeling like we're already 1 or 2 steps ahead of things here. And in fact, we're by no means technical experts. When we first started doing these trainings a couple of years ago, one of the very first ones almost resulted in a fire because we covered up some of the spotlights just over my head here. So as a result, we now set the bar pretty low for what we consider a successful training. No fires, and we're all happy. Right, enough stories. Let's crack on with today's training. So I'm going to introduce myself very quickly. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Darren, founder and MD of Motus. We're a health and lifestyle company. We work with people and organizations who want to change their lifestyles, lead healthier, happier, and more fulfilling lives. We help them be less stressed, build stronger mindsets, so that they can be at their best both personally and professionally. And our main objective when working with people, when they join our coaching programs, is that we're there to help them to create the healthiest version of themselves. So if any of those things are resonating with you right now, then you're in the right place today, and we're really glad that you've joined us. And just to let you know, we did point this out in an email, but just to be absolutely clear and honest, we will be taking a few moments later in the session today to share a few details about our 30-day coaching program, which you may or may not be interested in. It's £197, and it's how most people start working with us and start their journey with us. I promise there are absolutely no hard sell going on. If you're interested, great. We'd love to talk to you about it. But if you're not, then you can just go and make yourself a cup of tea for a couple of minutes and come back and join us for the Q&A. That's absolutely cool with us. Right, so let's get started. As you know, the title of today's training is how to build and maintain a positive mindset in spite of all the negativity. And so this is the first time I'm going to want you to join in and put some stuff in the chat for me, please. And I need a yes or no to the first question. So question number 1 is, who has been finding it difficult to stay positive over the last, let's say, 10 months? Is it 10 or 12 months? Yes or no? Okay, lots of yeses, fairly overwhelming. I agree. Next question. Who's found it more difficult in this latest lockdown, you know, since Christmas? January certainly is dark. Yes, I agree. I agree. About the same, bit of a mixture. Okay, this really reflects exactly what we're hearing from our clients and organisations that we're working with. I would say there's probably maybe a third of people say it's about the same, third say it's harder, and some people find it a little bit easier. But overall, it has been a pretty tough 10 months. Okay, I have another question for you now, and just so that I know we're kind of serving you as best as we can today, and that is, what one thing would you like to come away from this training with, so you've known it's been an hour that's really well spent? Thanks, Tracy. Anyone else? Andrea? Brilliant. Okay, lots of great ideas then. Lessen stress, hearing other people's experience. Perfect. Great. I think we've got all those covered and all those included in the training today. But if in the Q&A you think we haven't covered those fully, then just let us know and we'll answer personally there and then. So for me, I've got two intentions for this training today. So firstly is to make sure that all of you leave today with at least one thing that you can do and you can use immediately to help you build and maintain a more positive mindset. If you get any more than one, then that's a bonus. Second intention is to make sure you go away kind of feeling empowered and know that actually you can affect your own mindset and improve your own mindset. And I think one of the big difficulties about this whole situation is that so many aspects of it are beyond our control, and that largely we've been dictated to and our choice is limited, and that's really tricky to deal with, especially in a so-called free society and democracy. So if just in this next 45 minutes or so now, if we can help you take back some of that feeling of control and power over your own mindset, over your thoughts and over your feelings, then that would be brilliant. Right, questions. Next one for you, just so that we're on the same page before we get started. Can you answer in the chat, what does positive mindset actually mean to you? Focus on the future with optimism. Yeah, nice. Who else? Okay, so awareness, yeah. Feeling I can face the day. Brilliant. Okay, and so what are the benefits to us of having a positive mindset? Thanks, Janet. Get more things done. Definitely feels nicer not to be sad. Love that, Emma. Everything becomes better. Wow. Okay. And other people benefit. Thanks, Jane. And what about then, what happens when our mindset isn't so positive? Or what could happen? Easy to get in a downward spiral, feel down, yeah. Sloth, apathy. Everything feels harder. Dark cloud. Angry, frustrated. Yeah, well, thank you all for sharing all these things with us. This is really, really useful. Well, I think it's fairly clear that we've all established that we're on the same page when it comes to the benefits of a positive mindset and how hopefully it's going to be really useful for us to do this training. Overwhelmed? Yeah, absolutely. So let's move on right away then with some things that we can actually do. Right, how then do we build and maintain a more positive mindset? So just think positive thoughts. Has anyone ever heard that before? Yeah, people say this all the time, and this is actually one of my real bugbears. Just think positively, like it's really easy to do. And people say this way too much. Just think positive. Have any of you, again, give us a yes or a no here. Have any of you ever tried doing that when you feel overwhelmed, when you feel angry, when you feel frustrated, when you feel tired? Ever just tried to just think positively? Yeah. Gets you more stressed. Yeah, it's basically impossible. And the thing is that actually thinking too much is probably going to make things worse, because when we're in that state of mind, no matter how much we try to just think positively, our thoughts just get dragged straight back to where they were, and it's going to make it worse, and it's potentially going to put us in that downward spiral. The problem with just thinking positive is that there's no substance behind it. There's nothing actionable there that's actually going to change our state. And the other thing is, it's absolutely normal and 100% okay to feel rubbish and feel down sometimes. That's human, that's normal. But sometimes I just feel when people go around saying, I'll just think positively, it's almost dismissive of the emotions and the feelings that we're all experiencing. So just to reassure as well that, you know, we're not here today to tell you that it's wrong to feel low or to not feel positive or feel negative sometime, or to see that as a weakness in any way at all. It is just normal and part of being human. But what we are here to do is to hopefully give you some tools and some tactics so you can start to change it, so you can start to take control of your mindset, and to actually give you the belief that you can, because that's a big part of it as well, actually believing that the things that we do are going to affect our mindset. So what we're going to share with you now is all about actions. It's all about small and repeatable, simple actions. And most of the things we're going to discuss with you are either completely time neutral, so it involves just making a different choice, or they're really quick and they'll take you less than 5 minutes. And all of them, every single one, is something that either myself and the team practice ourselves, or we're helping our clients implement. So it's not just theories from a book. It's not just stuff that's plucked off the internet anywhere. It's things that are actually working with real people right now. Okay, right, let's do this. So first thing, the first key to building a more positive mindset, we believe, is about switching focus. Has anyone ever heard the saying that you get what you focus on? Give me a yes or a no. Mixture, okay. So yeah, we get what we focus on. So if we watch and consume the news, negative scary stuff 3 times a day, if we listen to it on the radio, if we read news websites, if we scroll through social media, what do you think we're going to get? Don't want to become product of our environment. Depressed, yeah, absolutely. The news is almost exclusively negative. Yet we've now got so many ways that it permeates our day. Who knows people, or perhaps you do yourself, that watch or listen to the news multiple times per day? Yeah, I can see a few nods as well as some yeses and things going in the chat box. Yeah, and the thing is, often not a lot has changed between midday and 6 p.m. or 6 p.m. and 10 p.m. So I think it's really, really important. You stopped watching. Good on you, Ashley. Have you seen this presentation already? Oh no. I think it's really, really important that we insulate ourselves from this. So my question for you is, how can you limit your exposure to the news? Jane, you've limited it. How can we do that? How can you limit your exposure to the news and social media? It is there to scare us at the moment. It's there to scare us. It's there to try and control us. How can we limit it to a bare minimum? Turn it off. Turn off notifications. Yeah, great one. To stay, all we need to do is stay informed of what we need to do. Any more, and the risk is that we kind of sabotage ourselves. So the question is, what to do instead? Here are some tips. And again, so this is time neutral. So replace watching news with a workout. What a good idea, actually. Loving this. Here's some more, what should we say, less physically demanding options than a workout. But a workout's a good idea as well. I think one of the top tips, and some of our clients are really benefited from this, is watching comedy. Who would like to laugh a bit more right now? Anyone? Yeah. How much comedy have we got access to on Catch Up TV, on Netflix, on Amazon Prime? All sorts. Why don't we replace some of the time that we spend watching the news or reading the news on social media with something fun? Or why don't we watch something that you're passionate about? Has anyone got one of those things, that a topic or a hobby that you watch something about it and you're just completely engrossed? Yeah, most of us have got one of those things, whether it's about a hobby, whether it's about a certain series, or whether it's something completely mindless. Because what we're looking for is to shift our focus so that it pushes out everything else that's been occupying our minds before that time. So whatever it is for you, whether it's having a bath, whether it's origami, it's something that switches your focus. And I think documentaries, great idea. And I think something that makes us laugh and makes us smile has an added benefit as well. Okay, so next key to building this more positive mindset and maintaining it is kind of to back up that switching focus concept. And here's a little quick practice that we can do right now, and you can do it anytime to help keep our focus on more positive things. So another question for you, type in the box, what good things have come out of the last 12 months or out of lockdown? Now, depending on how we feel right now, this is going to be relatively hard or relatively easier. If it's hard, then work through it and you will be able to find some things. Pop a few in the chat for me. Time to focus on a course, less commuting. Realize we're nothing without each other. Wow. Time spent with adult children. Joining online exercise sessions. More time at home. Brilliant. So there's quite a few. Everyone pulling together, gone for more walks. yoga online, family and friends. This is brilliant. These things, the dog's happy. The dog's happy. Everyone's home, that's good. Cuddles with the pooch. Exploring local area. You see, there's loads of things, and that was straight off the bat, just like this, really, really quick. Imagine if you spent 5 minutes and tried to list down all of the things. I'm sure we'd come up with a pretty big list. And just in taking that 5 minutes and sitting down, writing, thinking about it and focusing about it, it will immediately shift our focus and shift our mindset. So the important thing with many of the tips I'm going to tell you is that it's not a one-time thing. It works in the moment, but we need to revisit it. We need to go back to it. We need to remind ourselves, because we need to offer a counter to all the other stuff that's coming our way. Exploring local area, more time, brilliant. Loving all those suggestions. We were trying to come up with some about homeschooling as well, because that has definitely been a bit of a challenge in our household. And one of them is that I think our children eat more healthily when they're at home than they do when they're at school. So I'm very pleased about that. Okay. So this is something you can revisit. If you feel yourself slipping into that more negative headspace, then just revisit it. All it will take is you note down a few things, it conjures up some memories, and before you know it, it's started to push out those negative feelings. It's similar in a way to something called a gratitude practice, which again, some of you might have heard of or perhaps do already. And it's exactly the same, really. It's just giving yourself a quick reminder of things that we have to be grateful for. And even when times are hard, there are always lots of those. Okay, next point. So next key to building, maintaining this positive mindset is thinking about what is in our control. Now, I mentioned control earlier, and we need to keep our focus on the things that we can control. So the things in that green circle you see there in the middle, on what we can do, rather than what we can't and what's kind of being done to us, what's being imposed upon us. Because at the moment, we may not be able to control whether or when we're allowed to go on holiday, when schools are going to open, when we might be able to see our family, and all those things. But some of the biggest and most impactful things that we can control are what motives that we consider to be the 3 fundamentals of our health and lifestyle. And I want to spend a few minutes speaking to you about these now, because these, I would say, are probably the most impactful things that we can do on a regular basis, on a habitual basis, to build and maintain that positive lifestyle. And it's built on the premise that our health and our mindset, being an integral and crucial part of our all-round health, comes down to these 3 things. So these fundamentals, we work on them in our 30-day program and also in M12, which is our main coaching program. And they just have a huge aspect on every bit of health. And more than that, it's how they all interact together. And the thing I like about focusing on these with our clients is that there's nothing, it's no kind of like, it's not about tricks. It's not about kind of special mind tricks to suddenly snap your mind into order and where you want it. It's something that's repeatable, and it's something that the benefits of compound over time. And it's about taking very, very small actions. And in time, building these actions into habits has a profound impact on our underlying state. And that's what really building a strong and positive mindset is all about. It's making that be our default rather than something that we have to kind of search for and reach for. And the end result of that is not, as I said earlier, that we're just positive all the time and happy clappy and all that kind of stuff. It means that we feel more positive more of the time. And that's progress, and that's what we're we're striving for with our clients right now. So these three fundamentals of health and well-being are nutrition, movement, and sleep. Sounds really simple, and in essence it is. And sometimes when we talk about these to people right now, they look at them and they think, oh, straight away, that focus control thing, I can't do that, I can't do this. True, whilst we might not be able to work on these in exactly the way we would do normally, or we might choose to, they can still ultimately, even with small changes, have a really, really big impact on our health and mindset. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take you through a few suggestions for each of those areas, for small little changes or little adjustments that you can make that's going to have a big impact on your overall health and well-being and mindset. And we'd like to get you involved as well. So we've come up with a few suggestions. So there's nutrition. We've got drinking water with meals or first thing in the morning. We've got pause before you have a snack. So what we mean by that, is anybody eating more because they're bored? Yeah. So what I mean by yes, oh, lots of yeses, lots of an exclamation mark even, goodness me. So what we mean by pause before snacking is asking ourselves, okay, am I hungry? Am I really hungry? Am I thirsty? Am I tired? Or am I bored? And sometimes just by asking ourselves those questions, and if the answer is, no, I'm not really hungry, I'm actually just bored, the moment goes away and you're like, do you know what? I don't want that after all. Doesn't work every time, but let's say, for example, if that happened, I don't know, 10 times in a week, and let's say 5 of those times you made a different decision as a result. Think about how that stacks up over a number of weeks, making 5 different decisions when it comes to snacking. That could have a big impact on your energy level. That can have a big impact potentially on your waistline, depending on what the snack is. And it's thinking about the compounding power of all those decisions. Next one we've got on nutrition. Earlier evening meal. I think for a lot of people, again, tell me if you agree or not, there's a bit of a danger zone in that time before dinner. If you eat a little bit late, you're a bit hungry, it's been a long time since lunch, if you've been busy doing this, that and the other in the afternoon perhaps. Sometimes just by consciously shifting your evening meal a little bit earlier, it takes us away from that danger zone, so that doesn't happen. And then also the added benefit is it can impact sleep. If you've eaten too close to bedtime, it can easily, oh, my chair's just broken, can easily have a negative impact on our sleep. Next point, number 4, prioritize protein. And what we mean by that is the word protein actually means of first importance. So there's a reason for that, because it's very important. Jane, we eat around 6, so much better, avoids me snacking, not really wanting an evening meal. Okay. Prioritize protein, yeah. Think about if you are somebody who struggles with boredom eating or fluctuations in energy, that type of thing, how could you include a little bit more protein in each and every meal? And what it does is it helps you feel a little bit more full and helps keep your energy levels balanced. Final one we've got on here is, again, it sounds very simple, but if you don't buy it, we can't eat it. And actually, one of the benefits that we've found as a family of this whole lockdown thing is that it's made us plan our shopping and therefore our eating a lot more, because we all the way through we've been trying to limit our trips to the shops, trying to do some stuff online. So if you know, for example, you're only going to go to the shops once a week, then you have to plan a little bit more, otherwise you might go very hungry. So yeah, just having a little bit of, I guess, forethought around, okay, when am I going to get my shopping, where from, and what am I going to need over the week? Right, so over to you guys now. Have you got any more suggestions for small things that you can do with your nutrition that takes 5 minutes or less, or it's just a different decision? Meal prep, drink more water, brilliant. Snacking on carrots, love it. Think about portion sizes. Yeah. And all these things, actually, just by considering them and by being conscious of them, automatically start to influence our mindset, because we're taking action, and it's about anything that's action orientated. Do a small job in the house rather than snack. I've got some jobs in my house, Jane, if you want to help with those as well. A few small ones, a few bigger ones. Okay, let's move on to movement then, so to speak. So these, I'm sure we all know, moving your body has almost an immediate impact on our mindset. But how easy is it?
Ready for lunch?
Yeah, love some. Thanks.
Sorry.
Unfortunately, it wasn't for me. Didn't quite time it right on nutrition. Movement. So yeah, as we were saying, movement can pretty much instantly switch our mindset, but it's really, really easy to stay sat down all day long at the moment. So simple things. We can walk every day. Another thing that has really helped a lot of our clients is trying to make sure that we do some kind of movement in the morning, whether it's the walk, whether it's stretching, and it just seems to set us up to feel a bit more positive throughout the day. Planning in exercise, making sure we're taking breaks, regular breaks. Another thing a lot of our clients have done, or we're helping them to do, is try and make sure that they take a break in the day whilst it's still light, because that's a big thing at the moment. If you compare now to how things were in May and June, say, when the weather was lovely and it was very, very easy and kind of encouraging to go outside, it's not been quite so appealing, apart from when it was snowing. So if you can make a point to get outside in the light, definitely a good thing to do. Was that your mum? I don't think it was, actually. Should be in here criticizing me anyway. And started couch to 5K, brilliant. Okay, next one, when it comes to movement, because it is harder to motivate ourselves at the moment, is to make some kind of commitment. And what I mean by that is making a commitment to somebody else, whether it's to meet them, to do something, or whether it's to join some kind of online group. So there's some level of commitment and therefore some level of accountability. The likelihood is that whoever you do that with will massively appreciate it too, because it will really, really help them. I view my workout as just as important as brushing my teeth. Brilliant. And then lastly, every minute counts. And what we mean by every minute counts is that often people think when it comes to exercise, when it comes to movement, for it to be meaningful, for it to have an impact on our bodies or our mind, that it needs to be half an hour, it needs to be 45 minutes, it needs to be an hour. It takes seconds for it to affect how we feel. Seconds. So even just really, really small amounts of exercise or small amounts of movement, as often as we can really do make a difference. Okay, any other ideas from you guys on movement? What could you do personally? How could you move more? Move from my desk, stand up for webinars. Right. Set yourself goals, yoga before bed, walk to work, brilliant. Yeah, I love that as well, walking to work, because depending on how long your journey is, I bet it doesn't take that much longer to walk either. So it's another thing that you can do without it taking that much more time. Never take the car for less than 1 mile, brilliant, good for the environment as well. Run up and down stairs, yeah. Another one that one of my clients does is she has a deal with herself. Every time she goes up and down the stairs, she has to go twice. And just little things like that, that's enough actually to get your heart rate up. And that immediately has an effect on your brain as well and your mindset. So it's just all little things like that, that again, they compound over time if you stack them up. Okay, on to sleep. So sleep, we all know that sleep impacts our mindset. How much more difficult is it to feel positive and to be proactive and energetic when you're not sleeping well? It is really, really difficult. So sleep is definitely something that we can protect. And also it's something that perhaps we have more of an opportunity to do better, perhaps in lockdown as well. You know, if you commuted before, for example, it might mean you have more opportunity for sleep. If you're not going out partying every night, might be we can get to bed a little bit earlier. So a few small tips for sleep then. Just going to bed 15 minutes earlier. Again, it sounds like nothing, but you stack that up, and let me just do the maths in my head quickly. I've forgotten this one. I think that adds up to an extra night of sleep every month. It's something like that. It's a really big amount. Who wouldn't want an extra night's sleep? Next thing is reduce screen time before bed. So you can kind of get double benefit here. Yes, please, extra night's sleep. Double benefit. We can remove that input of the news, of social media, affecting our mindset, and improve our sleep further by not having that light affecting our brains and our sleep as well. So what can you do instead? Reading. Sounds a bit old school, but specifically reading fiction. I remember a few years ago, having not read a fiction book for I don't know how many years, and being encouraged to do this because I was all busy reading autobiographies and textbooks and all that kind of stuff. It made a huge difference to my sleep. And how it seems to work is that by reading fiction, it gets your brain into that more dreamlike state. So it's easing you into how it should be when you're sleeping. So again, it's kind of multiple benefits. It's perhaps a substitution for watching extra news or looking at social media. It might get you to go to bed earlier, and then it will improve the quality of your sleep as well by taking your brain into that state, more like a dream state. And again, if you're reading a good fiction book, your focus is not on the terrible news stories. So that's win-win-win. Final one we've got for you there before it's over to you again is trying to stick to a consistent wake-up time. Problem waking at 4 or 5. Yeah, we'll come back to that in the Q&A, Jane. So when I say consistent wake-up time, I mean kind of deliberate wake-up time, not just waking up by accident at 4 or 5. tempting as it is, I guess, sometimes to lie in if we don't have to get up as early. It's really, really good for the body, really, really good for the circadian rhythms, which again affect our mood, affect our mindset, for your body to know when it's time to get up, when it's time to get moving, when it's time to get going. And actually, by regulating your wake up time, it will start to naturally encourage you to regulate the time you go to sleep as well. And that on its own can have a big effect on mood. Okay, so anyone else got any top tips they can share with the group for sleep? Sleep alone. Booking in for an earlier move. Oh yes, nice. Bedroom temperature cooler. Yeah. I would say darkness as well. Trying to have completely total darkness. Not having screens of any sort in the bedroom, I think is a really good thing. Phone out of the bedroom. Yeah, that's a big one. It's very tempting. Brilliant. Okay. So I think the important thing to reiterate here is how all these small things interact. Meditation and day helps my sleep, nice. How all these things interact, and very, very small changes can actually add up to a big difference in how we feel and helping us feel more positive and helping us build that mindset. And just, you don't have to do all of these things. Literally just picking one or two can have a massive, massive impact. And you can see there's nothing revolutionary here. It's not tricks. It's probably nothing you haven't heard before, but it's just about going back to basics, and the basics that we need as human beings to function well, feel energized and feel positive, come down to nutrition, movement, and sleep. Okay, so it's time now. If you want to go and get a cup of tea, I'm just going to spend a couple of minutes talking about our 30-day program. And if you think it might be of interest, then please stay and listen. If not, come back for a Q&A in a couple of moments. Right, so our 30-day program is how most people start their journey with Motus. It's delivered completely remotely, and you not only get access to 9 modules of online training material, covering in more detail the fundamentals and other things aside. But unlike most programs that you just download and they're cookie cutter, they're the same for everybody. You just download and digest them as and when you want. You will also get to work with one of our team one-to-one on how to create your long-term vision to become the healthiest version of you. And that one-to-one coaching is about creating a personalized step-by-step plan to get you there. And it's this personalization which I believe sets our programs apart from most of the things that are available. And it's learning about the fundamentals that we talked about and how to put them into place so they form the foundation of your new lifestyle. So it could be for you if you've tried and failed in the past when it comes to your health and well-being. It could be for you if you're a bit overwhelmed and confused about what's right and what's wrong when it comes to health and well-being. It could be for you if you understand that to really change your health and well-being, it requires a long-term approach and it requires a sustainable approach. It is probably not for you if you're looking for a quick fix. Mrs. P recently completed our 30-day program now, and what it helped her with is having a regular routine that's now become her norm, and it helped her improve her general physical and mental well-being, which I think in 30 days would be quite a considerable achievement. And as I say, it's about laying the foundations for that longer term approach to your health. It's £197. And if you think this might be something that you might need right now, then you can apply by emailing Ollie at motorstraining.co.uk, or if you need more details. And as a thank you for joining us on this training today, or for listening if you're on catch up, if you quote mindset in that email to Ollie, then we'll also include a bonus of 4 one-to-one exercise sessions online as part of that £197 package as well. So if you've got any questions or you'd like to apply, you can also private message Ollie in the Zoom chat right now or over the next few minutes. And if so, we'd love to hear from you. Right, okay. Onwards. Another question for you guys. So we've been through lots and lots of stuff now, lots and lots of ideas. I'd like to know what's one thing that you can do that we've discussed today that's going to help you build a more positive mindset. Pop it in the chat, let me know. Stop worrying about what I can't control. Brilliant. Daily walks. I think, Louise, as well as just stop worrying about what you can't control, it's also about shifting the focus onto what you can. And by focusing on what you can, it'll push the other stuff out. Pausing to consider a reason before snacking. Yeah. And I say in that case, it doesn't matter if the answer is still yes. It just means that it's kind of an informed decision rather than something that's just happened. And then before you know it, there's like crisp packets everywhere. Oh, goodness, how did this happen? I can't control the government, but I do hassle my MP. Good. They should be working for us. Quite right. Try not to stress about work, which seems to be an impossibility at the moment. Yeah. It is difficult. I think it's trying to just redress that balance. And by doing and taking actions on stuff that help us, it squeezes the feeling of stress out. And actually, it just means that when we do feel stressed, it's almost like we have a greater capacity and kind of resilience to deal with it. So by doing more of those positive things that we've discussed about, it means that the stress, even if it's the same, doesn't impact us as much. Okay, any more? Get outside. Yes, love it. Okay, brilliant. Well, that pretty much concludes our training for today. News once a day only, yes. So yes, thank you again for your time and your energy and your contribution. It's been really, really good to see everybody getting involved on the chat. So what we're going to do now is just we've got 10 minutes or so, or just under. So we've just got time for some Q&A. So if you want to pop in the chat any question that you've got, it can be related to exactly what we've discussed today on building a positive mindset, or if it's anything slightly more widely on health and well-being, then happy to take those questions too. Jane had a question a little while ago, didn't she? What was that? Problem waking at 4 to 5 a.m. Okay, so speaking to that generally, sometimes if you have a consistent wake time, this is going to go a little bit woo-woo on you, so everybody hold on. In the world of Chinese medicine, they have this theory. It's a lot more complex than this, but I'm going to kind of simplify it for you. That when we sleep, there's a kind of a system and a process where different areas or different systems within our body go through this restoration process during sleep. And so there's a period where it's our brain, there's a period when it's our heart, there's a period when it's our lungs. And one of the things that could be, or someone in Chinese medicine might say, this is not any kind of diagnosis or medical advice, disclaimer, is that frequent weight gain at that time could be a shortage of antioxidants. So one thing that might be worth considering is some extra antioxidant support from something like a multivitamin or a greens drink. That would be the first thing that I would try or make a recommendation to if we're working with a client. So I hope that helps, Jane. Any other questions, anybody? Go on, be brave. Oops. What if you can't get into this mindset to change, as there seems to be a dark cloud at every turn? Okay. Yeah, I get it, Andrew. I hear you, and probably lots of us can relate to that at different periods of our life. I guess my main advice is to start really small, really small. It can be the tiniest little thing, but as long as it's action focused, it's a step in the right direction. And then once you've done it once, next day is a new day. Can you do it again? Can you add something else in? And it's not only the actual response, okay, if you like, a physical or chemical response in our body, it's the knowing that you're taking action, and it starts to build momentum, and very slowly you can build some traction with it. So yeah, my advice would be start really small and really simple. Hard to stick to fitness routines when ill. Yeah, absolutely. So my question would be, okay, so what can you do if you can't stick to your fitness routine? What can you do with your nutrition? What can you do with your sleep? How could you scale back your ambitions when it comes to exercise and fitness so it's appropriate for that time? I was very ill just before Christmas, and it was a bit annoying. I couldn't do my usual exercise routine, but you have to scale it back. What can you do? Could you do some stretching? If you run, can it be a walk? Just so you're doing something, because as we mentioned earlier, you still get massive benefit from even just a small amount of exercise. Indigo wants to know what can make you sleepy. I should probably point out here, that's my daughter, who has absolutely no problem with sleeping. Let's tell Indigo that, and this is what she was doing yesterday before going to sleep. She's 5, singing Once in Royal David City very loudly, apparently makes you sleepy. Okay, what have I missed? Chronic conditions, but I don't give up. Brilliant, good for you, Ashley. Trying to connect with people every day. This has ticked my box for today. Brilliant. Well, thank you, Louise. I'm really happy to hear that. Thank you. From Sandra, I struggle to drink enough water. Try to increase it. Always fall back, not drinking enough. Might be worth considering electrolytes, Sandra, just to make sure that you are kind of staying really well hydrated. So it might be that you don't need as much water to be consumed if you drink electrolytes in them. Message me privately, I can recommend some for you. Tracy had to sign off. She wants to know, what can you do if you live on your own to motivate and feel sad a lot of the time? I would say to Tracy then, yeah, that is a difficult situation to be in for sure. There are plenty of things that you can do. You can sign up to online, so you have a commitment, so that you're also getting some kind of interaction and connection with people as well. So I definitely recommend looking into options for that. That would be the first thing. Lots of groups are meeting online. Zoom is invaluable. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Louise. All right, have I got them all? I think so. I felt isolated. It's so much better joining online sessions. Awesome. Thank you, Sandra. I joined a coaching group. Turns out it's in Chicago, but it's brilliant. It just doesn't matter anymore, does it? There's no boundaries, no boundaries. Living alone, we can just be there for ourselves, be accountable to ourselves. Yeah, I guess it's thinking about what's the opportunity in time to yourself would be my question. And maybe one opportunity is a lot of time to reflect and time to make some decisions and time to make some changes, time to reprioritize. Brilliant. We've got time for one more. Volunteering, yeah, absolutely. So if anyone's got one more question, we'll just do that. No, right, okay. Well, let's call it a day. Just to say thank you to everybody again for joining us today. Thanks again for all your interactions. It's been really good. Been really good having you join us for this session. We will probably be putting more of these sessions on. So do give us some feedback if you've enjoyed today. You're welcome. Thank you very much. And yeah, and if you have any suggestions as well for topics that you'd like to see us cover, then we'll certainly bear that in mind for future sessions. So yeah, thanks again. And yeah, let's start putting these things into practice and building a stronger mindset. Thanks, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.